It's very important. I would like someone to debate me or start to know what the end of monotheism feels like. They can measure your DNA to a tree outside your window and show where your ancestry evolved off this tree, out the tree outside. Wow. What do they do? Rig you with the dissociative genetic triggers to branch out and leave. The woman next door, she's this foreign, and I'm not racist, but upon seeing me, she's been partial for more than a couple of years now to spit up on the ground every time she sees me, and she would keep a rack of numerous little rugs on a stand on what is technically our mutual stairway. And she'll fucking hiss and talk like a dog every time I try and leave my apartment or enter my apartment. So I just decided I had fucking enough. Some sort of worker for idiots was standing with her. I just said to him, "Look, are you Christian?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." And who did Adam and Eve's kids have kids with then? He goes, each other. I didn't bother asking if he has a girlfriend or not. Fucking two sons. Which one had the uterus? Or did Cain impregnate a corpse? So I said it in front of him and to her. I said, "Look, you put this stack of rugs because of the way you spit when you see me. I've had fucking enough. The fire extinguisher is our mutual property in case either one of us has fire hazard. But that stack of rugs, you have to ask me if I care if you have it there, and you don't. Because when you see me, you spit like a dog. Every time I see this rack of rugs, I'll throw it down the stairs. I don't give a fuck anymore." And so now she's keeping it in her apartment. And this virus scare has everyone on a panic, but there is something that can be fought. And that's the filth trace on society made by the Christian filth, poison, bullshit. We're so inbred, it's awesome. Oh, we're so inbred. We're so fucking inbred from a garden. Let's kill bisexuals. We're so inbred. Let's kill bisexuals. We're so inbred. Let's kill bisexuals. And that's the gist of the Christian religion. So you might not be able to fight this virus that has everyone on alert, but in your hearts you can fight the Christian poison. Choice is yours. Well, whatever it is that became of my stolen property. And I have kept in mind the prospect that Roger and Gary viewing double hers in a morally prescriptive text really just proves that their own Freemasonry and greed for money is that deep in their head. That while they were surveying me watching the film, which they obviously noticed that I changed after the experience of it, and I thought I had perceived the voiceover in morally prescriptive. context, which I hadn't. So I guess his idea might have been, well, you're into doppelganging, so I'll doppelgang you. And then he was rich enough to fake a fucking whatever. Scene with my son property. I tried to get to report to the police about my property being robbed in 2010, and then they just made a mental health referral instead of being police officers. So it seems capital chemists more or less own the Australian Federal Police in the ACT. I'm starting to get mad now. It does take a lot out of you if you're trying to focus on a series of events from 2010. I made an album because it would have no words, but all the songs would capture the moments I was going through. So I made the album I called Sound Arc, and it was just an instrumental album I made to myself. A bit like a diary, which was amongst the list of stolen items. They hate Christianity so much that they're mistaking antichrists for Christians, and we're not. The fact of the matter is, as far as we probably got their religion too, Freemasonry, that is. Yeah. Pretty much every key point. The science, sadly, is the way that Christians will live. Will bear out whatever the science of the faith system is. So when they say that what captured everybody's hearts about Jesus was his ability to love everybody, at a time when homosexuals were at risk of stoning to death, and bisexual was not even a concept in their tongue. So a king and queen, and I reckon the queen hated him. I reckon she fucking hated him so much that they went great lengths were taken to make sure that her opinion of Jesus never made its way to the pen of any of the Gospels. But that's what comes up in all the crime stories you hear about, is this embedded element of opposites attracting, but in a dangerous criminal way. And that, I think, is part of Christianity's effect on society. We're inbred from a garden, so what's the opposite of that? A bisexual, kill a bisexual. Kill, then eat the bisexual, and then say he gave his life for everybody. Tra-la-la-la-la. So I do consider Christianity to be a poisonous filth, and I feel a bit like Hitler in that regard. But yeah, essentially what I think is going on is that anytime a bisexual is destroyed, it corresponds to a Christian sense of some important fulfillment of something. And they go, yeah. These are the ones who are who don't think it was wrong that ransom money was put out for his kidnap, or that he was suicided up a hill. Christianity is a suicide cult. You get Christian relatives saying, "Don't commit suicide. Follow the Lord Jesus Christ." See what world you see if you imagine saving him from that walk up the hill instead of thinking that he did it for you. Because the suffrage of the bisexual rights movement continues to this day. And, you know, I don't have a car deliberately, because if I did, I would be listed by Christian piggers as the most likely suspect for a host of crimes that none of which I'd have committed. But they would go, well, he has means. He has the means. Oh, look into his childhood. Look into his early childhood. That was definitely that guy. So because of their attrition, I don't drive. And that's not to hold myself back from any criminal intent. It's to accommodate the stupidity of stupid inbred Christian pigs. There are gentlemen in the police force who care about law and rights, and then there's Christian filth piggers who want to handle your person physically during a global virus crisis, because your long hair and your skinny body reminds them of someone dangling dead for them to eat. So I guarantee you that's the reason. It's the reason I don't have a license or a car. I would have to deal weekly, I think, with interrogations. So I just discover the pluses of buses. So that, I think, as I wrote on a recent post, the houses of healthcare. Calvary's got it bared out as their logo. Calvary is a word that means that you are thankful to a God that doesn't exist for the murder of Jesus. Do I want to see that logo on a fucking Hippocratic house of healthcare? Fucking morons. What's the bet they have more malpractice cases occurring at the Calvary Hospital compared to Canberra Hospital? Fucking bet you. Involving what? Inadequate failure to care for people with long hair, males with long hair. And look at their logo. You know, you've done this. You've created this. The press won't. If a religion has motivated someone to think it's moral to commit a hard crime, the press won't even have the testimony aired to you. They'll say that the cause must have been. This psychologist thinks that this godless hypocrite, as if piety doesn't involve heinous crimes. That's what the Bible is. You know, and the executives at that channel, at that network, are religious too, or want to finger the Queen and get honours. Fucking disgusting.